we will go in for API configurations, how to use APIs which are available on our platform. So a core AI Spots platform gives several APIs. So whatever you can do from within the platform, starting from not only the creation of dialog task and all, those are not possible. But other than that, whatever is possible, like maybe you want to test an utterance. Okay, so you want to pass an utterance and see whether it matches with an intent or not, or you want to see your change logs. Okay, what changes have taken place on the bot, or you want to export your ML utterances, you want to import ML utterances. All of these things can be done using APIs also. The purpose behind it is, maybe you have an application from where you want to call our bot, pass an utterance and see whether an intent is getting identified or not. Okay, or maybe you are in an environment where you do not have your bot's platform to go to utterance testing and do the required utterance testing, but you want to pass an utterance and see whether your bot is able to process that utterance and match it to an intent or not. So for all this kind of situation where the developers can also use the APIs, we go in for enabling the API scope. So as a developer, as an owner of the bot, you can enable API scopes. And once a API scope is enabled, all those APIs are available to other developers, and they can use those APIs in order to perform various activities on the bot in our platform. Okay, so let's see how we can enable APIs over here. So we come to API extensions. Okay, so under API extensions, you will get the API scopes. Click on API scopes over here and define what APIs you want to enable. There is a whole list of APIs. You can see over here, there is a whole list of APIs that are available. You can see train FAQ to match a given FAQ against an FAQ model, utterance import, utterance export. If you want to fetch your log history, okay, you want your custom widgets and data to be retrieved, data associated with custom widgets and reports. So you can see all of these are available through APIs as well. Okay, but how can you configure these APIs so that they are accessible from outside our platform? So for that, since you are going to call a functionality within our bots platform from outside the platform, there is a need for authentication of that call. And our platform authenticates any call using the JWT, okay, or the JSON Web Token. To generate the JWT, you need a client ID and secret, and that client ID and secret gets created when you create an app within a bot. So when you create an app, the platform will generate a client ID and secret for that particular bot. And this client ID and secret can be used to generate the JWT. So you can create an app, okay, or you can select from one of the existing apps which are available. You can click on create app, give a name to it. Let's say something like my test API. Okay, something like this. Give a name to it. Click on next. Okay, so it will show you app created successfully. Okay, and then you come here and you can see the app has been added over here, and with the app you get the client ID and the secret. The next is you enable those APIs that you want to enable for this particular app. So select the ones that you want the users and developers to access. Okay, so using API, I'm going to do intent and entity detection. So I enable this API. I'm going to fetch the chat history. If you want your debug logs to be fetched, if you want to perform bot export, if you want to import variables, that is your environmental variables and all. If you want to export variables, train ML, test your KG. Okay, so you can click over here. utterance import, utterance export. Depending on your requirements, select the APIs that you want to enable with this particular scope that you are defining. Once done, click on Save to save this API scope. So for this particular API scope, I have enabled these APIs using this particular app. Now, once you have done this, since you are going to call the bot from outside the platform, you need to publish your bot. Okay, so go and click on Publish and click on Proceed. Click on Confirm over here to confirm the publish. So once you have published, let's see how we can call the API. Now, when you are making use of APIs, every call will have a different API. You can refer to our documentation. In fact, you have to refer to our documentation to get that URL and to get the body of that particular call. Okay, so search on API scopes. Okay, and there are different APIs. You can see examples of that also over here, how to configure. But I'm going to just open this. Okay, and I'm going to click on API list over here to get the list of APIs. Okay, so you can see these are known as public APIs also. Okay, so you can see my APIs available over here. So let's say I want to do your utterance testing. Okay, so I want to pass an utterance and see whether it matches with an intent or not. Okay, so the API for that is the find intent. So click on that and you will get to see the whole the API call that is required and your body which will be used in order to make this particular call. So the curl request is also available in the documentation. So now let's see how we can call this particular API. Now for that, the first step is I need to generate the JSON web token. Okay. So I'm going to use jwt.io in order to generate the JSON web token. We come over here to our bot. We go back to the API extensions. Okay, I open the API scope because I need that client ID and secret in order to get this JSON web token. Okay, so we come over here, we click on edit, which will give me the client ID and secret. Okay, so I copy my client ID from here. I go back to JSON web token, the service, and in the payload section of that particular this thing, I go in for something like this. I say app ID. Your ID I has to be in capital. Okay, and followed by my client ID. Okay, so this is my client ID. Okay, similarly, whatever is your client secret, you need to specify that over here. So come here, copy your client secret, come back here and paste your client secret over here. Okay, so that will give you a JWT. That will give you your token that will you can use in your API calls. So the way to generate, once again, I'm repeating. First, enable a scope, an app which will give you the client ID and secret. Associate all the APIs that you want to enable within that particular scope. Publish your bot. Once you publish, use that client ID and secret and using your JWT service. I'm using jwt.io. If you have any other service to generate your Java web token, you can use that. Okay, but using that, what you can do over here is you can generate your JSON web token. By the payload for generating the token is app ID and followed by the client ID, and the secret, the verify signature part, this place you need to provide your client secret. Once you do that, you get your JWT generated. Copy this from here, and now I'm going to use Postman to show you how we can use this particular API to make a call to our platform. Okay, so let's copy this. Okay, this particular URL. You need all the URLs. Each API will have a different URL. So remember to copy and check out the URL from the documentation. Now you can see there are some parameters which are required. Host is where your bots platform, the server where your bots platform is available. That is the host, and bot ID is the ID of your bot. Okay, so you can create the API call as per your requirement. I'll just create the call and then use it in the same Postman. So I paste it over here. My host is bot score AI. So that is the clouds deployment that we have. So here you have to put the reference of the server that where your bots platform is deployed. So copy that and put it over here. Okay. Similarly, you have to specify the bot ID so that you can get it from here. So you get the bot ID, copy the bot ID here and paste it here. There is another parameter that you need to specify, fetch configured task. Now I'm using this API call to pass an utterance and see whether the bot can return an intent against that. It can identify a task for that particular utterance of the user. Now, if you have published a task, the task can be in two states. That is, it can be a published task, or if you, as a developer, you have made changes to that task and not yet published, the same task is also available in the configured state. Okay. So do you just want to check in the publish task and see whether any task matches with the utterance of the user, or you also want to check in the configured tasks as well? Okay, so by default, you can see configured tasks is false. That means it will only try to find a related task out of the tasks which are published. Okay, but if you want to also check in your configured list of tasks, then you have to make this true. Okay, so once you have made this true, copy this particular API. Okay, and in Postman, I'm using Postman. You can use any other application from where you want to do it. It is a post call, so select the type of the call, specify your URL over here. In headers, okay, with auth, you need to specify your JWT. So copy your JWT. Okay, so come here, copy your JWT and provide that over here. Okay, so your JWT is added, and now we go to body where we are going to put the request. Okay, so select application JSON over here. Okay, and here you can provide the body. The body of the request is also available in our documentation. So for every API, you will get the request over here, the sample request over here. So copy that sample request. If it is a curl command, you can use it from Java and all, but over here I'm just using this. In the utterance, provide the utterance with which you want to test, something like okay, and the name of the bot. Okay, so your bot name you need to copy from here and you need to paste it there. Okay, now let's click on send. And let's see how it is working. So you can see the request has been, so you get to see a status of 200. That means your API was processed successfully. It has returned a response. Okay, and you can see the request. The stream name is the name of the bot, and in the response you get to see the entire details coming up. The way the NLP engine has worked has been returned as a response of this API call. So you can see the time used was 670 milliseconds. You can see the debug title over here. Okay, so intent match successful, and this was the intent that was matched. Okay, the result type is success intents. And then you will see over here what was the input and the entire analysis, the NLP analysis coming up over here. So you can see the FM, the ML did not fail to identify any intent, but FM has identified an intent over here. Okay, so if you scroll down, you will see FM has identified check balance. Okay, so sorry, yeah, so FM has identified check balance on the basis of word match. That means the label words, the words used in the task name, they have matched with the words present in the utterance of the user. Okay, so that way you can see the entire NLP analysis coming up. The advantage is once you have an API call, now you have seen that we make API calls from our service node, and from that response we can pick up elements and display that or use that in our conversation flow. Same way, after you make this API call, this is your response that is coming back, and then you can use elements from this particular response in the application from where you have made this particular API call. Okay, so you are not using directly the function from the bots platform, but what you're doing over here is you are using an API call to perform that particular function on the platform and get the response back from the platform. So that is the main power that you have when you are making an API call. Let's try out some other API. Let's say from the list of APIs, let's pick up some other thing. Let's say something like change logs. Okay, so let's pick up the change logs from here. So just click here so you can see this is my API call. So I need to provide the details here. Okay, your host is bots core AI. So since that is a reference to our deployment of the bots platform. So bots.core.ai, and then the bot ID is the same. I'm using the same bot ID. So I just copy the bot ID from here and I paste it here. Okay, and what I do is I copy this API. Okay, go back to Postman. I'm doing it from Postman, but you can do this integration from some other applications also. It is a get call. Now here I provide my URL. Okay, we come to headers. Okay, and we once again I need to copy that particular JWT because that will be used for authentication. So copy the JWT from here and provide auth followed by your JWT here. Okay, and then you can click on send in order to send this particular request. One second. I made some mistake here. Let me just check if I have made some mistake in the bot this thing. I need to check this out why it is not working. Maybe, oh, sorry, I did not select it. One second. So what you need to do is make sure that a particular scope is selected. Okay. Yeah, log history is not there. So it is not a part of my scope right now. So I can enable the scope. Okay, so these are log histories which are there. Okay, and save it. Okay, so once I've enabled, so that happens if your respective API is not enabled and then you're trying to make an API call, the platform will not allow that. So with that particular client ID secret, whatever API has been enabled, you can only use those APIs. Okay, so just because I did not enable those log APIs, I was not able to trigger this particular call. Okay, but once I have enabled that and I published my bot, now you can see it is picking up my chat history, my this change logs from there, and it is displaying the entire details back as a response of this particular API call. So in this way, there are multiple APIs which are available. You can use any one of these APIs as per your requirement from an external application to trigger some function on our bots platform. But the steps to do that is, first you need to enable the API scope. While doing that, you need to create an application for that particular bot. When you create an application, that will generate a client ID and secret, because every call from an external application will be validated by a platform using a JWT, and you can generate a JWT using the client ID and secret. With that particular app you have created, you have to enable all the APIs that you want the developers to use from outside the platform. Once you do that, you create your API scope, you need to publish your bot. After publishing the bot, you need to generate the JWT. You can use any service. If you have some internal service, you can use that. Or you can use jwt.io, where you need to specify the payload as app ID. That is very case sensitive. So it has to be specified exactly in that format. Otherwise, a wrong JWT gets created. Once you have the token, then refer to our documentation and see what is the API call. Configure your API call with reference to the server where your platform is hosted and the bot ID which you are referring to using this particular API. Configure the body of the API call and then trigger the call from your external application. I've done it using Postman, but you can use any other application with your APIs that you have enabled here. Okay. Any questions on this?